Before there were nations, before there were empires, there was a river. The Yellow River. And from its muddy banks, one of the greatest civilizations in human history was born. But where exactly did it all begin? Thousands of years ago, one people, one river, one destiny, and a story that would shake the entire world. Emperors, soldiers, inventors, farmers. Every empire has a story, but this one lasted 5,000 years, and it's not over yet. But how did one man control 1 million soldiers? The answer will completely change how you see leadership, power, and fear forever. In 2700 BC, a legendary figure rose above all others, the Yellow Emperor, Huang. He didn't just rule China. According to tradition, he literally created it. He gave humanity 3 gifts: writing, the calendar, and medicine. 3 things we still use every single day 4,000 years later. Legend says he fought dragons. Archaeology says something different. The truth, somewhere between the two, and far more fascinating than either. He left behind a message carved into bone. For 3,000 years, no one could read it. Then someone finally did, and what they found changed everything. In 1200 BC, the ancient Chinese didn't write on paper. They carved their most important questions into animal bones and then burned them to hear the gods answer. What did they ask? War, harvests, sacrifice, and one chilling question that appears again and again. Does the king have the blessing of heaven? In 1899, a farmer digging a field hit something hard. He had no idea he had just pulled 3,000 years of lost history out of the ground. For centuries, people were burning these bones as medicine, grinding history into dust. But not all of them were destroyed, and what survived will shock you. 475 BC, China exploded into chaos. 7 kingdoms, 250 years of endless war, millions dead, and no end in sight, until one man ended it all. 7 kingdoms, Qin, Chu, Yan, Han, Wei, Zhao, and Qi, each convinced they alone deserved to rule China, each one wrong, except one. In the middle of this bloodshed, one general sat down and wrote a book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. 2,000 years later, it still required reading for CEOs and generals alike. 6 kingdoms fell. 6 crowns hit the ground. 1 king stood alone. Only one man could end 250 years of war. His name was Zheng. Born in 551 BC, Confucius never led an army, never ruled a country. He just taught, and somehow, his words went on to shape the lives of 1.4 billion people. Respect your elders. Keep learning. Choose a job you love. These sound modern. They're not. Confucius said them 2,500 years ago. No army, no war, just words. His ideas spread to every continent on Earth. 1.5 billion people are still influenced by one man's teachings today. Then one emperor decided to erase him forever. He burned every book. He killed every scholar. Did he succeed? You already know the answer, because you just heard his name. 221 BC, one man did the impossible. He conquered every kingdom, unified a fractured nation, and crowned himself the first emperor of China. His name, Huang. He standardized everything overnight. One currency, one writing system, one set of measurements, one road network. For the very first time, China was truly one nation. But he was also a monster. Scholars executed, books burned, millions forced into slavery to build his empire. The greatest ruler and the worst tyrant in the same body. This all-powerful emperor was terrified of one thing. He spent his entire life desperately trying to escape it, so he built an army to fight it. The army still exists today. Deep underground, an army of 8,000 soldiers stood perfectly still, waiting. Not real soldiers, clay ones, built to protect their emperor in the afterlife forever. 8,000 soldiers, and no 2 faces are the same. Each one was modeled after a real soldier, a real person. Each one had a name that history forgot. In 1974, a farmer was digging a well. His shovel cracked open a hidden chamber. He peered inside with a torch and accidentally found the 8th wonder of the world. But the soldiers are just the beginning. The emperor's actual tomb lies sealed beneath, and scientists are almost too afraid to open it. Here's why. 13,000 miles of wall, built by millions of workers across hundreds of years. Some say it's the greatest structure ever built by human hands. Others say it's the deadliest. How long is the Great Wall? Imagine walking from New York to Los Angeles. Now do it 5 times. That's how long this wall is. Walking it takes 18 months. 400,000 workers died building this wall. Many of them are buried inside it, their bones literally part of the foundation. It is a monument built on human sacrifice. But did it actually work? When the Mongols came, did this wall of millions of lives stop them?
The answer will genuinely surprise you. Spoiler, they found another way in. In 130 BC, China opened a trade route that would connect the entire ancient world. The Silk Route didn't just move goods, it moved ideas, religions, and cultures across civilizations. Silk, spices, glass, gold, horses, paper, flowing between China, India, Persia, and Rome. But the most powerful thing traded on this road was completely invisible. It was ideas. China and Rome traded for 400 years, two of history's greatest empires connected by a single road, but they never once met face to face, history's greatest long-distance relationship. This was the most dangerous road in history. Bandits, deserts, impossible mountains. But merchants kept coming back, because one successful journey could make you a millionaire for life.
Paper, printing, gunpowder, the compass. Four inventions that built the modern world. All of them came from one place, China, centuries before the rest of the world even imagined them. A Chinese alchemist was trying to brew a potion for eternal life. He mixed the wrong ingredients and accidentally invented the deadliest weapon in human history instead. Without China's compass, Columbus never finds America. Without Chinese paper, the Bible never spreads. Without Chinese gunpowder, modern warfare never exists. The world you know would not exist. But China had one more secret. They kept it locked away for 300 years. Stealing it was punishable by death. That secret was silk, and it almost started a world war. 618 AD, China entered its golden age. The Tang Dynasty built the world's greatest city, Chang'an. 1 million people, Arabs, Persians, Japanese, Turks, all living side by side. 1 million people in a single city in the year 700 AD. Chang'an was bigger than what London would become 1,000 years later. It was the New York City of the ancient world. During this era, something unprecedented happened. A woman seized the throne and became China's only female emperor. Wu Zetian ruled for 15 years, and she was brilliant at it. But all golden ages must end. Storm clouds were gathering from the north. Something was coming that no wall, no army, and no emperor could stop. The Mongols were riding. 1211 AD, the ground shook. Genghis Khan's army of 200,000 horse riders descended on China like a storm that had no end. Nothing in history had ever looked like this. The Mongols built the largest empire in human history, 33% of all land on Earth. No empire before or since has ever come close to matching that size. For the first time in its history, China was ruled by foreigners. For 89 years, the Mongol Yuan dynasty held control over a civilization that refused to be broken. But the Chinese never accepted foreign rule. In the shadows, ordinary farmers were sharpening blades. A revolution was coming, and it would begin with one man who had nothing to lose. 1275 AD, an Italian trader named Marco Polo walked into China and saw wonders so extraordinary that when he went home and described them, absolutely nobody believed him. He described paper money, coal used as fuel, cities of 1 million people. In medieval Europe, they called him a liar. Everything he described was completely real. In 1275, Europe was a collection of dark villages. China had skyscraper-like buildings, paper currency, and public baths. The gap between them was almost incomprehensible. Marco Polo wrote one book. Columbus carried that exact book on his famous voyage to find Asia. One man's journey to China accidentally led to the discovery of America. 1420 AD, the Ming Dynasty built something the world had never seen, the Forbidden City. 980 buildings, 8,700 rooms, all for one emperor. 980 buildings, 8,700 rooms. You could spend an entire week inside the Forbidden City and still not see every room. It is simply impossible to comprehend its scale. Common people were absolutely forbidden from entering. Step inside without permission, the punishment was immediate death. No trial, no mercy, no exceptions whatsoever. Earthquakes, fires, invasions. 500 years of history tried to destroy the Forbidden City. All of them failed. It still stands today, as perfect as the day it was built. 1405 AD, Admiral Zheng set sail with the largest fleet ever assembled in human history, 317 ships, decades before Columbus had even been born. Columbus had 3 ships, Zheng had 317. Columbus's flagship was 60 feet long, Zheng flagship was 400 feet. There is no comparison whatsoever. And then China stopped. The greatest fleet in the world turned around and came home. China deliberately chose to close itself off from the world. No one fully understands why, even today. China could have reached America 80 years before Columbus. They had the ships, they had the sailors, they had the maps. The greatest what if in all of history. 1839. The West arrived with warships and opium. The world's oldest and greatest civilization was brought to its knees in what the Chinese call their Century of Humiliation. Britain deliberately flooded China with opium to create addicts and drain the country's silver. 10 million Chinese became addicts. The government tried to stop it and lost the war. Foreign powers carved up China like a birthday cake.
Britain, France, Germany, Japan, Russia, each one took a piece. China's humiliation was total, systematic, and deliberately planned. But this humiliation created something no one expected, a rage that burned for a century, an anger that would fuel every single thing China did for the next 100 years. October 1st, 1949, 3 p.m., Mao Zedong stood on Tiananmen Gate and declared 4 words that echoed around the world. The Chinese people have stood up. 20 years of civil war, millions dead, a country completely torn apart, and from that wreckage, one side finally emerged victorious after one of the longest struggles in modern history. Mao's army once walked 6,000 miles on foot to survive, through mountains, through snow, through impossible terrain. Most didn't make it, but Mao did, and he never forgot it. October 1st, 1949, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. In that single moment, the most populous nation on Earth changed direction forever, and the world has never been the same since. 1978, Deng Xiaoping launched the greatest economic transformation in human history. In 40 years, China lifted 800 million people out of poverty. No country has ever done this before. 800 million people lifted out of poverty in 40 years. To put that in perspective, that is more people than the entire population of Europe, the greatest achievement in human history. China builds a new city every 2 weeks. It produces more steel per year than the rest of the world combined. The speed of this transformation has no parallel in all of recorded history. China's shadow is growing longer every single year. The question is no longer if China becomes the world's #1 power. The only question left is when, and the answer is coming fast. 5,000 years, one civilization. From riverbank villages to nuclear power, from oracle bones to artificial intelligence. No story in human history has lasted this long or gone this far. 5,000 years of war, invention, collapse, and rebirth. All of it in one continuous story. The longest story ever told by any civilization on Earth. Rise, fall, rise, fall, rise. China has done this cycle more times than any nation in history, and if history tells us anything, another rise is already underway, right now. Which moment in this video shocked you the most? Drop it in the comments right now. Subscribe for more videos like this. History has never been told like this before.